You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Melissa Pilgrim is our choice for your next Disney vacation. You can reach her at amagicalpilgrimage@gmail.com. We thank her for her support.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's
puertas.
a wild ride in the wilderness.
So today on Miles from Main Street, we got Brian and Kylo here. Brian, how we doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling bad that we're not doing this live this week, but you know, things happen and we have things going on. So at least we're still getting the podcast out, right?
Yeah, it was funny. We like messaged each other and we were like, "Hey, I got this going on," and the other one was like, "Oh, I've got this going on." So we could not do it live.
Yeah.
And it's that time of year. It's getting nice out. There's lots of stuff to do. School is ending, so
That's so true. There's a lot going on, and we're still going to try to get these out every week, but hopefully we can make them live recordings at the same time. So I appreciate everyone still continuing to listen. And if you enjoy the show, please go like and subscribe, and importantly, share it with a friend or a family member or somebody that says they're heading to Disney World. We'd love to help them out with our show, and you can let them know that we're really great at it. So I think we're great at it. Are we great at it, Mikhailo?
I mean, I would hope we're like semi-decent at it at this point.
I mean, we're a little biased, but I think we're good at it.
I think so, yeah. Anyways, something that we can help people with their vacations is places to relax. Brian, wouldn't you think that's pretty important?
I do think it's important. It's nice to be able to get away from the crowds here and there. I have found in our vacations now that we're taking time to stop somewhere or taking a day off. Now, those off days may include running around to different resorts, but you know, we're not running around a park. We're not putting in 30,000 steps in a day. You know, we're not going open to close. You know, we're sleeping in a little bit. We're going to bed early. We're having meals, sit down meals. We don't do that in the park.
We're having meals.
Right? I know,
Yeah.
sit down meals. And so, you know, it's nice to have those more kickback, relaxed type of days. And you know, while that's good that we're doing that, we're also finding ways to relax in the parks. So I think today's topic is really good to have.
Yeah, I just want to... Are we talking about places to relax just in the parks?
No.
My
no,
list? Okay, good.
No.
I was thinking, I was like, oh
everywhere.
no, did I do this incorrectly? Good. I'm glad. Anyways, yeah, we, Kristen and I, as Disney goers, have been really trying to find that balance of relaxation and getting everything in that we want to do, because typically we have a lot that we want to do. So we're usually trying to fit in a lot in not that much time, but we've tried pretty hard the past couple trips to really have like chill days. So this was something good that I think we should talk about, that I think Kristen and I have been getting a little better at. So Brian,
you know, I think
ahead.
it's an interesting testament that you guys you've now renewed your annual passes once, and you've, you know, been a few times, and it really talks to how much there is to do at Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
That you guys are still running around trying to fit in everything you want to do.
Yeah, it's nuts. There's a lot to do. Anyways, Brian, what is number one? Well, what's the first thing you want to talk about on your list?
Yeah, so top 10, right?
Yes, top 10.
top 10 in no particular order, but the first thing that comes to mind for me to relax, and maybe this is a softball, but a hotel room. Your hotel room is the number one place to relax. You get away from the crowds. You get away from every single person that is there other than the people you want to be with. And that's the time, try not to just use it as time to be sitting or sleeping, right? Like it can also be a place to, I don't know, decompress, watch a little TV, get away from everything, sit in the air conditioning, and just relax like you would at home, lay in bed, take an hour to relax. And I think that's the first place that you're able to do that.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah, I have this on my list, but mine is a little more specific than yours, Brian.
Okay.
So on my list, I have in bed after a long day with a pizza. Mine was a little pretty specific. But you're completely right. Like so mine for like after a long day, being able to like come back and just like relax after everything you've done. For some reason, I think this was a family thing. Was we just always had pizza when we were at hotel rooms. So it's just like anytime I come back to a hotel, I feel like we need pizza or something like that. So yeah, that's on
that day that we were watching the Packer game, leaving Epcot, and we grabbed a pizza. We weren't even in the room. We were just sitting in the cafeteria at Pop Century and enjoying our pizza, watching the end of the game. That was a good time and relaxing too. It wasn't a super stressful game. I don't remember. It was a surprising game.
Yeah, it was surprising because they were beating somebody they weren't supposed to beat. I can't remember who it was.
The Chiefs, yeah.
It was the Chiefs.
Yeah. So it was but it was a good time enjoying that pizza. And actually the other night we ordered some late night pizza, and it made me think about, because I have some plate. I always grab a stack of plates and bring them home with me. Particularly in the French Quarter, Sassagoula River Floatworks. Their eatery there, right? They usually have extra plates laying around, so I'll grab a stack and bring them home and use them, just here and there, So like when we had the pizza the other night, I grabbed that plate out and had my pizza, and it just immediately made me think of eating that pizza with you guys in the cafeteria. So just another way, I guess, you can bring it home too, right? But back to your point on pizza in the bedroom though.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I did want to mention this is welcome to Miles from Main Street. We go on tangents. So you bring home plates. That's genius. I want to do that. This last trip so I love smells. I love colognes. I love smelling all the colognes around the countries in Epcot. And I noticed that they have like smell testers, like those strips that you see like when you go to like Macy's and you want to like smell colognes and perfumes. They have those with the old school Epcot logo on them. And so I was like, okay. And so I just like took a whole bunch of them. So that was the random thing that I took home on that trip. That was just kind of like super random and super weird. Anyways, yeah. The pizza in the bedroom and just kind of like the hotel room in general. Sometimes we've been doing this now recently. We'll go back to the hotel room if we're just like super tired, and we'll take a siesta. And that's wonderful. And one of the things that I love to do while you're just like chilling in the room, and maybe this is just because I am a Disney adult and I just like can't get enough of Disney, is I'll have that Disney information channel on. Like the new school must do Disneys. Like before it was Stacy and the old school must do Disneys, and now it's been updated. But for some reason, like that's all that's ever on on our TV. Like we barely ever like watch like regular TV or like even Disney movies. It's usually just like the must do Disney channel. That where and we'll typically like fall asleep to that. So I just love just like chilling in bed while must do Disney is going on, and either in the middle of the day or at the end of the day. It's just wonderful.
I can get behind that. Yeah. Having that on, having any of those park specific channels that they have on.
Mm-hmm.
They have many different channels that you can turn on. When we were staying at the Polynesian, we could turn on Happily Ever After whenever we wanted.
Yeah, that's
Um,
nuts.
yeah, I love that. So, I right behind you there. So that was one of your top ones, huh?
Yeah.
Pizza in the hotel room. Um, you know, another spot, speaking of the resorts, would be the pool. Um, like plain and simple, we had a day on our last trip that we sat at a table and a guy waited on us. There was a cast member working the pool bar, and he come out to the table, bring us snacks, obviously we're paying for it, but bringing snacks and drinks. And it was just a wonderful afternoon, just relaxing, and enjoying the weather. I mean, we're there in February, and Wisconsin's got snow, and
Hmm.
we're able to sit in, 75 degrees. My kids are swimming, and we're just relaxing. And that was really a great time. And you don't have to be swimming, but just hanging by the pool and relaxing and enjoying the weather. I think that's a great way to spend some time too.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And especially from this last trip that we went on, we had a lot of pool time, mainly because we were at like probably the best pool that Disney has, Stormalong Bay. And
Absolutely.
it was great to like have a day for the pool and just say like, okay, like we're gonna be here most of the day. And so like we just chilled. And I mean, in my old age now, um we like typically when I was young, I'd be like running around, hitting the slide, and doing all this other crazy stuff. We were in the lazy river for pretty much the entire time, and it was wonderful. We just like went around in circles on the lazy river, and we just chilled, and it was great.
Awesome.
And there's just something about that feeling of like chlorine and like going into a pool and then like going inside and then going into a pool again. I don't know. It brings back good memories. Out in Wisconsin, we have the Wisconsin Dells, and there's lots of indoor pools and outdoor pools and giant water parks. And so that really kind of brings back memories of like family trips and stuff like that. Just kind of like having that feeling. But it's also like a huge part of like when you have kids, like kids are always gonna be at the pool. Like they're always gonna want to be swimming around in the pool. So that's cool as well. So yeah, it's really cool to be able to just like relax out there. And Disney has some really great pools. Even some of the pools at the like the cheaper resorts,
The
like
values.
the
Yeah.
value resorts, they are also very cool.
Yes, they are. And you don't need a slide to have fun.
Mhm.
And every single resort, there's cast members running activities
Mhm.
for kids to do. So you can have the kids kept busy while you're relaxing, however you choose to relax by the pool. And like it's just, yeah, it's got to be done. A lot of people say, yeah, I spent all this money to go to Disney World, and all they did was beg to go back to the pool. And it's like, yeah, if you plan time to swim, then they won't say that. But
Mhm.
if you're just giving them 10 minutes to jump in the pool and then running them off to a park, I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Um, I don't get that from my kids. Now, granted, I've got one out of high school, another about to be out of high school. So the younger one is kind of on her own. And when we're in the parks, she doesn't ask to be swimming. She knows there's park time and she knows there's swimming time. And so if you have it worked out that way, and that's why it's so good to have these days off and have these pool days, whatever they are, so that they can enjoy that. As long as they know that's there, then they're going to be able to enjoy the other things. So just another tip, I guess.
Yeah, big tips from Brian. So I had pool as well on my list. Of course, I mean, because pool, probably one of the more relaxing places to be when you're on Disney property.
Yes.
Do you want me to go now? Because you've taken two of mine. So yeah, maybe I'll go now. So another kind of like general. I feel like the next one I have is pretty general, and then the other two are not super specific, but they are pretty specific. But this next one is I love just chilling at like a nice restaurant, like restaurant time and dining time, especially sit down time. Typically, if you go to a nicer restaurant at Disney, it's gonna take you a little while, especially if it's one that's not in a park. Like that might take a good amount of time. If you go to California Grill during the fireworks, that's easily like a 2 hour meal. So, but yeah, that's one thing that I love. Is just kind of like going and like hanging out at these nice fine dining establishments and just like taking all of that in. You're not running around a park anymore. You're not worrying about your flight or anything like that. You're just like at a restaurant and you're focused on having an amazing meal and taking in everything while you're there. That's something that I really enjoy. And I think that kind of comes from the fact that we usually are like running around the parks most of the time. So when we are able to sit, like finally we're sitting, and like that happens a lot too when like later on in the trip when your feet start hurting, and like you end up like always looking for like a spot to like sit and like rest your feet. Once you get to like that restaurant and like you're able to sit for like an hour or two, it really helps your feet and it really kind of like lets you relax and chill.
I always get to a point when I'm on a trip where it's like, it's time for my butt to be sore instead of my feet to be sore.
Yeah.
um, it, yeah. And yeah, I wanted to throw out there like character meals I wouldn't suggest as a relaxing time. The characters can come pretty quickly and it can be pretty chaotic. And it's a different type of fun. But I completely agree. A California grill, an Ohana, or even a Kona Cafe where you're just being waited on, and you can sit and relax, and you don't have to move. You don't have to get up for something. Those are the types of places that you can really kick back and just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's and honestly, with Kristen and I feel like it's one of the things that we look forward to the most in these trips are these dining experiences that we try to have every time we go. So
Totally can get behind that. My list, I tried to do something where we would be kind of a little bit all over, like multiple ideas here. So my next one is actually getting into the parks now. And this is Aunt Polly's rocking chairs. This is over on Tom Sawyer Island. And what I really like about this spot, there's other spots that you could do this. But the nice thing about this spot is it's not going to be busy there. There's not a lot of people there at all. And you have the Rivers of America as a buffer to the crowds that you can sit and watch. You can people watch these people, all these people just walking back and forth through Frontierland, right? And it's just you can the way you can sit back, and another way you can take it in too. It's like looking at what you're doing from afar.
mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I was one of those crazies just a minute ago, and now I'm sitting here just taking it in. And again, it's another place that you can let the kids run. Like we let the kids go, and we said the only thing you can't do is get on the raft. You gotta stay on the island, all right? But they're running through the caves, they're going across the barrel bridges, I have videos of them doing that. They were having a blast with my phone, taking videos of them running across the Barrel Bridge and doing different things. Meanwhile, my wife and I are just enjoying a soda and watching the marching bands go by from afar. And it's a really interesting perspective to get of the parks. So that's one of those that I would like to do, is just kind of sit on those rocking chairs and get away from it. And I think that's part of the relaxing, right? You need to get away from all the crowds. Sitting on a chair in the middle of a crowd doesn't necessarily make it relaxing.
So, where exactly are these rocking chairs?
When you
Times
go
Square
off
Island?
of the raft, it's to the right, and there used to be a quick service there. Sometimes they open it when it's really busy. They haven't done that for a couple of years now.
Is this the one? It kind of looks like a gazebo area.
Um,
Is it so?
maybe
So the
it's
place that
white
I'm
wood and
the place that I'm thinking of is it kind of looks like a gazebo area, and it's facing Haunted Mansion. Is that what you're thinking
no,
of?
no. It's it's on the point of the island on the Adventureland side or
Okay.
Frontierland side. Um, yeah, there was a small quick service in there, and there's a couple of tables and chairs. People will, like right now, the big trend is working from Disneyland or Disney World, right? And that's just a spot that you can do that.
Hmm.
There's tables, there's chairs, and then there's, I think 4 of these rocking chairs sitting there. Um, and it's not a gazebo. Um, it's white. It more looks like a house, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, I so there's on Times Square Island. There is one that one area that I have just chilled in before, and I think this was like maybe Kristen and I's first trip together, and it's on Times Square Island, and it's kind of like this it's kind of like what you're talking about, but it's like this gazebo looking area, and it's looking straight at Haunted Mansion. And it's kind of like that same vibe where like you're just away from everyone and you're just like taking in all of like what Disney World is, but you just feel far away from all of that. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah,
We're probably talking about the same spot.
probably.
Different perspectives or viewpoints that we are
Hmm.
sitting in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that one and Tom Sawyer Island is fun too. Just being able to like it definitely feels like you're getting away from like that park. It feels like it's kind of its own thing because not a lot of people go over there.
Right. Yeah.
Cool. So my next one is pretty specific. And it's only just because of like the vibes that it gives me. And I'm gonna go into the park and I'm actually gonna say a ride. I'm gonna say Three Caballeros. And you may be thinking, why? Why Three Caballeros? And it's because just the types of vibes that it gives me. Like there's a very specific point in the ride where you see Donald and he's like scuba diving, and for some reason that just makes me think of like swimming in the pool and just like relaxing.
Okay.
Um, but like that whole ride, and I think it probably stems from the fact that typically you can just walk onto it, so you don't have the stress of like waiting in a line. Um, so yeah, we like for some reason that one really like when I get on that ride, I just feel really relaxed, and it just kind of gives me like like it gives me vacation vibes. Maybe I do need to vacation to Mexico. I've been asked that before. Like, oh, you want to go to Mexico? I was like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, Mexico, the Mexico Pavilion in Epcot. Um,
I've been there. I've done that exact same answer as you just said. But a couple of years ago, we did go to Mexico, and I'll tell you, it's a different vacation, and we had an excellent time. So don't throw it out just because you want to get to Disney World. It is definitely the type of vacation we needed at that time, and we just had a blast. So
We are an insight into our life, everybody. We are taking a trip to Hawaii in October, and maybe Brian and I will talk about how we feel when we plan other vacations that aren't Disney. But it's interesting planning a vacation that isn't Disney.
it is. I tend to think like, well, it's not Disney. I can relax a little bit, but then I start doing the research and starting to find out what's going on and where it is. And we were talking about it earlier today, weren't we? That
Mm-hmm.
you still need to have some sort of plan. When we went on our trip to St. Louis, I don't know, about 6 weeks ago, if that, we actually hit a point where the zoo was too busy. So we went out to Grant's Farm and they were about to close. So we ended up wasting like 2 or 3 hours of time when we could have been doing something else. And so as we were talking about it, it's like, yeah, you need to have some sort of plan. You need to know what's going on at least, right?
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's my weird one. Three Caballeros for some reason. Just
And
very...
like I said, I want to mix things up. So along the same lines, I actually picked Living with the Land.
That's my other one. Living with the Land gives me kind of those same vibes, but I think Three Caballeros gives me vacation vibes, whereas Living with the Land gives me kind of like nature calming vibes.
Well, and that's where I'm relaxing more. I'm able to sit back. I'm looking around at all the plants, right? The fish. And I'm not having to think about anything. Now, Three Caballeros, I'll give you it. I think it can be relaxing, but there's a stress level there because I'm wondering where the heck Donald is and why I can't find him, right? Donde está Donald, I'm sorry for butchering that. That didn't come out that well.
It's okay.
But yeah, Living with the Land, like you get the rain sounds, right?
The
If you
thunderstorm.
just get rid of the barking dog.
No, you gotta keep the barking dog. Keep the barking dog.
If you remember the movie Grown Ups, when they had the dog with the vocal, they had pulled out its vocal cords, and so it was like instead of like an actual bark. Like maybe we could do that with the dog.
Yeah, I totally agree with Living with the Land, and I guess it's like Living with the Land for some reason gives me sleep vibes, where it's like that the first part of Living with the Land. If I could just sleep in that room, like I would be to sleep right away. I most of the time as we float in there, I'm just like, oh my god, you gotta stay awake. So yeah, it gives me that's definitely relaxing, but gives me kind of sleepy vibes a little bit.
Hey, we're talking top 10 places to relax. So
true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go, and this is my last one. So then, Brian, you're ending the whole thing. And this one is a little less pinpointed, but I'm gonna say a bench in World Showcase, just kind of like anywhere back in World Showcase, and that kind of comes from I've had every so often, like I'll just have these moments in Disney, and typically I'll text Brian some sort of expletive and be like, "Wow, I really love Disney." He's gotten quite a few of those texts, but it's typically like places like that back in Epcot where you're just like chilling in Italy and there's like hustle and bustle around you and you're just like looking at all of this amazing theming and you're just like, wow, Disney's pretty awesome. And I have those moments a lot. I have them at almost every park. But I feel like I have them the most back in World Showcase, kind of like in all of that theming. And just being able to, a lot of times will just sit kind of back in those like they have like the museum areas of the countries, and just kind of like sit in there and just like take everything in. But yeah, I have those moments often where I'm just like, wow, Disney's pretty cool. And just being able to like sit and just like take everything in is a lot of fun.
I completely agree. We did that um, when we were on the first trip for Mia, my kid's second trip. Um, we we stopped in Italy, and I think you've experienced this firsthand, where I will get very, very caught up in the touring of the park. And it's go, no, we need to get here, we need to get there, we need to get to the next spot so we can get to this, right? Like I get very caught up in that. And I often preach on here that you need to let the kids drive at times. And those are the moments that I think I cherished the most out of our trips, because we were at the Italy pavilion and the kids were kind of stopping at the Kid Cot stops along the way. And so it was more driven by pin trading than the actual kid cot stop. But at this one, they had a nice area for them to do some coloring on an Italian picture. I think it might have been the flag. And then we actually ended up sitting there for like an hour while they colored and we relaxed. And it was like, it was unbelievable. It was just a nice way to kind of catch our breath and get ready for the rest of the day. And it's something that I wasn't planning.
Mm-hmm.
So, like you said, there's moments that you have that you're just like, dang, Disney got it right. The only thing that would have made that afternoon better was having Sergio pop out and do some jump ups.
Yeah, and I have to say, so to pinpoint this a little bit, one of my absolute favorite, in the past couple of trips, I think we've walked by and they've been occupied, but there are two chairs back in the British pavilion, back in like the, like it's got merchandise from like Winnie the Pooh. Oh, it's right outside the Winnie the Pooh meet and greet. But there's just two random chairs. Like they're nice, comfy chairs, and there's all this like British stuff like surrounding you and all this theming. And to be able to just like sit down in those chairs and relax, just like back in the British pavilion, the UK pavilion is really cool. So that's one of my pinpoints. I also really enjoy hanging out in Canada. But yeah, just being able to just take everything in and just kind of like stop for a little bit. I feel like I enjoy that a lot back at World Showcase.
It's funny that you're using this one because that was my last one. Was
we basically had a top 5.
I know, right? Like we're two same wavelength here, but Tammy and I will grab a beer. We usually share one, and we'll go back. And every time that we've done it, we go back by the gazebo, and we'll watch British Invasion, which is now Command Performance. They're doing more of the like British rock type stuff, and not the Beatles type stuff as much anymore. But
thank God, yeah.
We got into it this afternoon.
We did.
I'm telling you, friendship's on the line right now.
Well, hey, I like Dave Matthews, so we're friends again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, more talking to be had here, but anyway. We'll grab a beer. We'll just sit on the curb back there and watch the band. And like, you've got comfy chairs. I just need a piece of concrete, I guess, But yeah, we'll just sit back there, drink a beer, watch the performance, and it's a good time just to sit and relax again. Right back there. So, yeah, yeah, we had a lot of the same things here, but I do have a couple of honorable mentions, which are now, I guess, part of the top 10 because we didn't get to 10 yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Another one of mine would be the Hubgrass. Just hanging out there and, again, taking in the sights and sounds. You can lay down on the Hubgrass and just relax. There aren't people in there, a lot of people in there. So you can kind of get away, still see all the people running towards the castle and making their right or left turns, going wherever they're going. Um, and a few weeks ago we had our friend, my wife's cousin Julia, who's a cast member on, and she recently posted a story on her Instagram where she had finished a shift working in the Magic Kingdom, and she went to the Hubgrass with a book and actually just sat there and read, and like hashtag life goals, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want to finish a shift and go sit in the Hubgrass for a while, right? Like, just I don't know. I think that would be amazing to be able to do something like that and just be able to sit and relax. So, and pick up some corn dog nuggets along the way. And like it's just it sounds like a perfect time.
Yeah, so Brian, we have the same list. I'm going to piggyback off of that and say the hub, because one of the coolest things that I was able to do was just sit in the hub and watch the fireworks when we did our, I believe it was an after hours event. We got to watch Harmonious. Is that no? That's
No, it was the 50th
the 50th
fireworks
fireworks.
show. Darn it,
Can't remember.
Forgettable, that's what I say.
No, they definitely the whole time I was watching that, I was like, how did people not like this?
You
But
are
it was
magic.
it was so cool because we actually got to sit in the hub and watch it. We didn't have to like stand, and most of the time as I'm watching this, in the back of my head I'm like, "Oh my god, my feet hurt so bad," because it's the end of the day and I've been on my feet for who knows how long and how many steps. But it was so cool to be able to just kind of like sit and watch these fireworks. So
Yeah, I've been watching Tokyo Disneyland videos, and they make you sit for parades. They make you sit
really,
for fireworks, and they will escort you out if you try to stand up. So it's like it's an interesting dynamic, but that you kind of get your square and you get to just sit there and relax. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So another place, actually leaving Magic Kingdom or the resorts or Epcot, how about Animal Kingdom? There's a lot of places there to relax as well. And like some of these ideas Tammy was helping me out with, and one that we have not been able to do yet, but would be to sit at Nomad Lounge, especially if you can get outside next to the river and just enjoy the sights and sounds. I believe they've ended the flotillas now, but when they were still doing them, it was nice to be able to sit there and watch them come by. There's another spot over by Yak and Yeti that used to be used as a meet and greet. And I think they used to have boats that would go around that river. And so I think it was a dock for that at one point. But you can sit there. We actually, in 2021, when we were there, grabbed breakfast and went and sat there and ate our breakfast as the flotillas came by. And we got to see all of them as they went. And the kids absolutely loved it. It was kind of a private viewing area for those. So it's that type of stuff. I'm really sad that they're not going to be doing them anymore. I have a feeling they were losing their interest from guests. I think people are more interested in being able to shake a hand and get a hug than they are to just wave at someone. But back during COVID, there's a lot of things about COVID that I think were really nice that we got. And that was one of them. So I'm kind of sad to see those ending. But what a great time to be able to just kind of sit and take in characters and relax while you're getting something to eat.
Yeah, and I don't think I found your spot, Brian. I think we talked about this while we were there. But we've kind of found our own spot that was kind of like this over by it wasn't over by Yak and Yeti, it was over by the Flame Tree Barbecue. And it was just like they
Yes.
just kept like the seating area just kept going down, down until it just got to the water. And everything was so themed, so cool. And we got to sit right next to the water. We watched a couple flotillas go by, and we ate our Flame Tree barbecue pretty much by ourselves over there at Animal Kingdom. So that was a lot of fun. Kind of very similar to kind of like what you had.
Yeah, there are a lot of nooks and crannies
Mhm.
at Animal Kingdom that you can just find to take a load off, relax a little bit. That park, you can get it done in a day, even if you need to wait in the Flight of Passage 3-hour line.
Mhm.
You can get it done in a day. So there's no reason to run around crazy. Take the time to find these spots. Like you said, back behind Flame Tree, no one goes back there. This spot that I'm talking about by Yak and Yeti, it's over like right across from the bird show, flights of whatever we want to
Yeah.
call it, um it's a nice spot. It's covered. You're like just at Flame Tree, you're covered in the shade. You don't it's cool. So
Yeah.
yeah. Lots of great places to relax. We want to hear what you guys do to relax. Where do you go? What kind of spots do you have? Maybe you don't want to give up your spot, but you've got another spot that you will give up. So let us know what you're thinking. You can reach us on Instagram, Facebook, also on YouTube. Leave a comment below and let us know. We are reading them and answering them. So, as I said at the top of the show, please like, subscribe, and share the show.
Yeah, but like we always say, some live close,
But others don't.
so let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.